two, one. Welcome, race boat fans. Welcome to Champions Park Lake Studio. I'm your host, Dana Potts, and also promoter of Champions Park Lake in Springfield, Ohio, home of Wake the Lake 5, August 6th through the 8th, and also home of the Stock Mod and Junior Nationals, APBA Nationals. I get them all. There's so many acronyms, I get confused sometimes. So excited. Well, we got a special guest tonight. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we figured it out. Welcome to the show, Miss Jane.
Hi, Dana. Thanks for having me.
How you doing? You staying warm down there?
Oh, I'm trying. I actually was messaging K-Dub earlier and was telling her to dress warm for this weekend for the celebration. And she said, well, your idea of cold and my idea of cold are two different things. But this Texas damp cold is chill you to the bone cold.
It is. I'm up in Dallas. We're in negative, or not negative, 11 degree wind chill. So we had a bad accident up here earlier today. Yeah. So, well, fans, if you don't know who Miss Jane is, she's the better half of the late great Tracy Hawkins. So, wanted to bring Jane on. I'm glad you came on because we want to offer it up for our guests and everything. This weekend you're doing a celebration of life for Tracy Hawkins. So
that's right.
Kind of explain what you got going on this weekend and tell the viewers what you got cooking.
Well, as many people know, maybe not everyone, but many people know that Tracy was a crawfish cooking machine. And so I thought, what better way than to get some crawfish, and we're going to do a crawfish boil. And he's got a homemade trailer that, an old boat trailer of some sort that he made a rig, welded some burners, and he's got a little pulley on there, a little winch to pull the pots out of the water. And he had quite a setup there. He was ingenuity at its finest. And so we're gonna cook some crawfish. And I got a little nervous because I called the seafood place where we usually get them. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, Jane, we might have a problem because this cold front causes those crawfish not to go in the traps. And I touched base with him this morning and he said, we're on, it's a go. We're going to get you some crawfish. So nice. That's what we're going to do. I think Tracy would look down and he would probably be saying we're not doing it right, but but we're doing the best we can. And that's what we want to do. We want to celebrate his life. I'm sure there will be emotions are going to be running, all over the place, but in the end, I want to be able to gather with his friends and certainly the race boat family. There's many people coming in from all over the country. Yep. And we want to celebrate him and share stories and drink a toast. And, because there were a lot of Tracy Hawkins stories.
Exactly.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no. And the reason we wanted to have you on this show tonight, let's kind of talk about that, but also let people that aren't able to make it maybe share their story. So feel free to chime in tonight. If you want to share your story, we'll pop it up, say hi, well wishes, everything. It's, this weekend is kind of a celebration of life for Tracy Hawkins and what he did for the community, what he did for boat racing, what he did he's just an all around great guy. I guess I'll start out with my question to you is like, how did you get started in boat racing? How did you get drug into all this craziness?
Well, let me tell you, when Tracy and I first got together, it was probably about New Year's Eve, I think, was our first little date. And round about February or so, after we'd been seeing each other for a couple months, I think it was February, March, maybe, the Highlands race was coming up. And Tracy had taken a few years off of racing. So I knew he was an electrician. I had no idea that he raced boats at one time. And so he said, come on, there's a boat race this weekend down in the Highlands. It's not very far. It's about an hour, 15-minute drive. So, okay, sure. We go down there and we pulled in and we parked. And as we're walking up, I mean, we were just approached by all sorts of people. There was just kind of a buzz in the air. People are coming up to him saying, hey, you want to drive my boat? And so would say, hey, Tracy Hawkins is here. Tracy Hawkins is here. And there was just a buzz in the air. And I'm kind of looking at him like, who the heck are you? And I think he signed a couple autographs that day. And I was just, I was dumbfounded. And I believe he drove somebody's boat that day. I'm not 100% sure. And after that, it was on. He was back wholeheartedly into race boats, and it just, there was no looking back at that point. So the Highlands was at the Baytown Boat Club. That was my first experience with the race boat, and he had his little laser boat here, and he would take it up here on Lake Conroe or whatever lake around, and so he wanted to give me a ride in the laser, which I said, okay, but I don't like to go fast on the water. And it was the first boat I had ever seen in my life that had a foot pedal throttle, on the floor. And I thought those were just in cars. I had no idea. And I was petrified, to say the least. And so after that, he always respected my, he would go slow and just for me, and it's still fast enough for me. But that's how I got into the race boat scene. And for many years, I wasn't able to travel with him because I owned a business, and it prevented me from doing that. So I missed a fair amount of his races until the last few years. I was able to go and just really got to know some of the people, and just I'm amazed. Something that always struck me about the boat racing community is it is truly a big family.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at how, if any of the teams had motor issues or they needed a specific tool, everybody just goes to the next tent over to borrow a tool, and everybody helps each other all the time. And certainly, Tracy was part of that too, that he tried to teach the new guys, and he enjoyed that and tried to give them pointers, and I kind of would question him and say, what why do you do this? You're competitors here. He's like, we're only competitors on the race course. He said, when we're off the race course, we're a big family. And I really, really got to experience that, and was really touched by, that sense of community. And certainly after we lost Tracy, I mean, the people that have sent me condolences and well wishes, it's just, I was blown away, really. I really truly was. That just, it is a big family, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Awesome. Is there a favorite race memory for you? Once you got to go to the races, is there a favorite race that maybe Tracy won, or maybe he didn't win?
Yeah, I think probably the one that really sticks out in my mind is one of the more recent races. It was, I believe it was 2018 when he won Port Neches, and it was, I think, one of the last races that his mother was able to attend. His mother just turned 90, and she is and was his number one fan, and she was there and got to witness it, and just to see the love and support between the two of them, that just, it I look back, I have a lot of pictures from that day, and to see how happy he was. Of course, you win the race. That's what the goal is every time you're on the race course. And sure enough, he won it, and he won it, kind of for her. And so that was pretty special. That's,
that was.
there's several races that are memorable. I remember the motor getting knocked off and landing in the bottom of the river. And, one other time the motor came in. I can't remember where it happened at, and maybe some of the fans or the fellow racers would know. When the motor came, it never disconnected from the boat, but it was just hanging by the cables. It was on the side of the boat. And, just the weird things that would happen. And there were, he ran out of gas one time just on the last lap. And just all those things that happen in racing,
In boat racing, yeah. Now, one of my great memories of Tracy was more recent because, we started Springfield, Ohio in Champions Park Lake, and Tracy was one of the first guys there, and we did a parade and everything. And I think everybody was kind of confused, or not, they didn't totally get the parade. They're like, what is this? And I was like, well, we're going to parade the boats around. You're going to be on them, and you're going to either sign autographs, shake hands, kiss babies, do your thing. And Tracy lived for that. He embraced it so much that him and Fairchild are jumping fences, taking pictures. He's probably literally kissing babies, knowing him.
Probably was.
And he just loved that. And what I always remember after it was either the first or second year. The first year we went to do renewals for tailgating, and all the emails, I would survey my fans, all the emails back is like, we love that Tracy Hawkins. That's our guy. He just was so endearing to the fans and just lived for that. And that's the memories many memories, but those are one of them that just is really special to me.
Yep. I totally agree, and it didn't take long. We had just come around you get up on the bank up there, and as we were approaching the fans, I think he was walking beside the boat, and he says, the heck with this. He says, I'm getting right in there. And next thing, there he goes. And he eats that up. He loves, he really, really loved Springfield. And that was, and myself too. That's a very fun place to be. And the crowd is very engaging, and we had a great time there always. And
so we're doing a celebration of life at your place and at the shop. We're going to be outdoors. There's going to be a fire pit because it's going to be a little cold for you Houston folks. For us Northerners, it's not a big deal, even though it is cold. I guess I have a question. Are we putting anybody in the pasture?
Actually, we're all going to be in the pasture, so to speak, because that's where we're going to have to park. And
exactly.
How fitting, Oh, I can't tell you my truck actually ended up in the pasture one time because I parked in the wrong place, and he went out there, and he used to get so mad at me because I never left keys in anything. And he'd go to move my truck, and he's like, where are the keys? You need to leave the keys in it. Well, I had a truck stolen one time. So after you experience that, you just learn to not do that. But those boys, Wes, Chris, and Austin, his adopted nephews, as he lovingly called them, they got put to pasture a lot. And
kind of explain the pasture, because Tracy was notorious of helping everybody help build the boats and work on them and his shop's pretty big, and he can put a handful of boats in there. So the pasture was pretty much
so the pasture is actually neighboring property that there was a fence that went all the way down, and so the grass would get kind of tall over there. And when the boys would come over, he used to, not only would he help them in working on their boats, but it was life lessons too. And he for example, he would want them to clean up their area when they were through working, and
Yeah.
sometimes they wouldn't do that. So lo and behold, then they'd leave, and he'd take their boats and drag them over there with the tractor and put them in the pasture, and then take pictures. Well, he never left them over there. He
Yeah.
wanted the guy to think he was leaving them over there, but so he'd just take a few pictures and bring it back, and or they'd park. They had a habit of just pulling up to the shop and parking anywhere when they were always taking boats in and out of the shop, unless it
Mhm.
was a severe project that was going to take a long time, a major repair or whatnot.
Yeah.
But he kind of shamed them is what it started out, and then it was just became a joke, and it was a lot of fun. It was fun and games, but yet there was a lot of serious work that happened in and around our shop, and I want people to be able to see the shop and see what it was all about.
Yeah.
And although it looks considerably different than it did at one time, there's
Yeah.
things are gone a little bit, and that's okay. It's part of it. But that shop was a lot of life lessons, as well as just working on boats. And he
Oh,
loved
I'm sure there's a
stories.
lot. I'm sure there's a lot of stories that happened in that shop or were told, and hopefully we get to hear them all this
Yep.
weekend.
Yep.
It'll be good. It'll be good. So another thing, you kind of became the cook for the team, and also you guys got a mascot. Tell us a little bit about Miss Izzy. How's she
miss
doing?
Miss Izzy girl, she's over here on the couch. It got to the point when I started carrying her around to the races, because she's very hard to board. She doesn't do well boarding,
Yeah.
and she's doing fine. She's over there uh, raising up her head, listening to me right now. It got to the point, kind of, there were a couple of races when Tracy kind of got a little discouraged. He's like, people aren't even asking if I'm coming. They just want to know if Izzy's coming to the race. And so she became quite popular. She, of course, if you're not familiar, she's a big old Great Dane. She weighs
Yeah.
about 150 pounds. Uh, she's a big baby, but she used to go to the races, and she always did quite well at the races. Kind of a little bit of an inconvenience to have her there, find a place to stay. And I always had to kind of stay back. I was a little bit limited as to what I could do, and which that's okay, because Tracy was the very outgoing one. I'm a little more quiet and reserved, and kind of stay in the shadows, so to speak. And what people don't know is, like, when the guys would leave, I spent many hours in the shop with Tracy, handing him tools, fetching this or that, or holding a flashlight, or holding something for him to work on. And so I know more about the race motors than I like to admit. And help to put together lower unit on, and that's quite a feat. And yeah, but
Yeah.
Izzy's doing well. She
I think the
became
first.
famous in Springfield when she was on TV. And
Yeah, Izzy was in
yes,
Springfield, and I was
yeah,
like, because we have the horse venue next door. I was like, who let the horse out into the boat race
exactly.
facility?
Yep,
Izzy's a big girl.
she made the TV that year, and we're pretty proud of that. Tracy was proud of that too. Yeah,
So everything starts Saturday at 3 o'clock. Is that correct?
Saturday at 3. Yep, we're gonna
And
kick
it's going
off.
to go until the last story is told. And
That's right. That's right. And I'm telling everybody to dress warm. We will be outside. We
yep,
are trying. We're going to do our best to social distance. Wear a
yep,
mask if you so feel like doing. I will
yep,
be masked up. We're aware of COVID, but we
yeah,
also feel like we need some closure, and
yeah,
we want I want to be able to be around my boat family, and my friends and the people here that I call family. My sister will be here, and my kids can't make it, but they're all across the country, and it'll be nice to see everybody's faces.
Yeah, I know. I'll be driving down probably Saturday morning because we got some ice rain coming in late tonight. So it's going to be a challenge. Hopefully, everybody gets in safely, and we can all
yes,
have a good time, talk some good stories, have some fun. Is there any other stories that you want to share with the internet public tonight? That any fun?
There is one thing, one picture that I have kind of etched in my memory, and it was at Toledo, Ohio, where they had to crane the boats in,
Oh yeah,
and that was kind of fun. I got to drive the truck up to the ramp, and that was nice. And I don't know if I could. I mean, I know how to back up a trailer, but I liked just driving up. But Pastor Lori Vidal was. He likes to say a prayer with the drivers before they get in the water at most every race that he can be there at. And there's a very I wish I could have gotten a photo of it. I was standing behind them, and they had their heads bowed, and they were praying, and it was I told myself, I'm going to get a picture of that the next time. And there were a couple more races, and I never got to capture that, but that was really touching. And and looking back now, that's just it's just such a good memory that I have, that I will treasure forever.
Yeah. Well, Miss Jane, thank you for coming on the show tonight. I know you got a ton of stuff going on. I'll kind of leave it to you. Is there anybody you would like to thank in this whole endeavor and what you've gone through? I know we send our prayers out to you and all the crew down in Conroe and Willis and everybody, all those boat racers, because we know how big a piece Tracy Hawkins was to that whole crew. So I'll throw it to you.
Yes. Well, first of all, I also wanted to mention that, the Tracy T. Hawkins Memorial Safety Fund was set up in honor of Tracy, and that is such a wonderful thing. That one of the racers sent me a message just a week or so after we lost him, and compared Tracy he said Tracy Hawkins was to tunnel boat racing what Dale Earnhardt was to NASCAR. And through the tragedy of his death, we will, a wave of safety changes will be made. And I think that that's a fantastic thing. And I know, change is hard, but it's inevitable. And if we can learn something going forward that can prevent, a tragedy for someone else, then, then ultimately Tracy was still giving, right up to his death.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's, yeah. And that was Tracy Hawkins. His last words to me was, "What can I do to help you?" And that's the way he lived. So, Jane, we're going to let you go, but I'm going to leave our audience with something that I cherish, a memory. And it's a little bit of our last interview with Tracy. So I'll see you in a couple days. Thanks, care. Tina. And we love you. The boat racing community will be there, and we'll celebrate. All right.
Thank you.